Hello everybody. In this tutorial we're going to be going through the MOREbot shape challenge. So to start, I'm just in Arduino Create. I've got a blank program and let's kick it off. So the basic of this challenge is you have learned the basics of how to drive your robot, your MOREbot, and now it's time to apply what you learned and try to draw a shape. So we're going to start off by trying to draw a square, and the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Libraries. And we're just going to look up the MOREbot library. So even though I misspelled it slightly, it still got it. So we're going to come down here and we're going to click Examples. And you're going to go to MOREbot Drive. So when you start making changes to this, it will tell you to save it as something new. So I'm going to save this as MOREbot Shape Challenge. Alright. So hit enter, pulled it up, here we go. So here's our code. And if you remember from last time, this is just setup stuff, more setup stuff, and all of our code is really going to be between here and here. So let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit and give ourselves some more room. So we know that our code is going to go between this line and this line, and we know that we want to make a square. So if you looked at a square, and you decided that you were going to make something that goes in that path, you could break down the basic steps that you need to do pretty easily. So let's go ahead and just make a square. And let's say our robot is starting off right here. So this is the start. If I could ever move it. Alright, good enough. So the very first thing we want to do is go forward. Oh, that's in yellow. Alright. Let's do that because we're fancy. Okay, so we know that we want to go forward. So let's check our code and see that we've got that. Alright, the robot's going forward for a second. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit slower. The faster you go, the less accurate you will be. So we can just go ahead and delete this. And if you haven't picked up on it by now, these things right here are called comments. Basically, it's just 2 slashes followed by whatever you want. Whatever comes after those 2 slashes, 2 forward slashes on a line is commented out. So the computer basically ignores it. Your Arduino ignores it. If you didn't have those and you just type things, it would complain and it wouldn't compile. So if you ever accidentally delete this and then you try to compile it, it's not going to work. It's also going to want to make sure that you've got a board selected. So we'll do that. But yeah, when you try to verify it, it's just not going to work. So we can just delete that. And you can also, if you want to remove code and save it for later but not delete it, you can just comment it out and it'll make it easier. Anyways, back on track. So we've got something that goes forward. And when you do this, it's best to have an idea for how far you want to go. Anyways, so we've gone forward, and the next logical step is to make a right turn, right? So how do we do that? Well, we can use bot.right. And again, we'll want to go kind of slow. And then we're going to need our delay. So for how long? And with turning, usually somewhere between 500 to 700 milliseconds is the best. But you really have to play with it. So if you go ahead and upload this code to your robot, what your robot should do is go forward and then turn right. Now, whether or not to turn 90 degrees, that's another story. So the difficult part about programming a robot like this, especially when we don't have sensors giving us feedback on the motors yet, is it's not always going to be exactly what we intended. We're giving it a speed, a direction, and a time. It's kind of hard to guess the exact angle that it's going to turn just based off those 3 variables. But the best way to do it is through trial and error. So what I would recommend is going ahead and adding another bot.forward. And let's go ahead and do 40 for consistency and delay 1000 for consistency. So go ahead and upload this to your robot and just try it and see how close to 90 degrees did it get. And if it gets pretty close, then you're on track. But if it overshoots or doesn't go far enough, you know you need to change things. What I would suggest doing is keeping the speed the same number and then only changing the time it takes between each one. But once you get it right and you know that the forward goes as far as you want it to go forward, and the right goes the right amount of right, You can see that it'd be pretty easy to copy and paste and just do the same thing, because this forward should be the same as that one, and this right should be the same as that one. So, in total, we need to do this 4 times. So we could just come in here, and I can delete this, and I could just select this. Let me delete this, because it's kind of annoying. So I'll delete the comments, and I'm going to go ahead and backspace this. So this is totally okay, it's just a little bit harder to read, which is why I like to space things out. But for the purpose of this, we'll go ahead and make that one little chunk. And I'm just going to copy this, so right click, hit copy, and I'm going to push enter a few times, and I'm going to paste. And it does that. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing, remember, 4 times. So, alright, there we go. So in theory, this code would make our robot go forward, turn right, go forward, turn right, go forward, turn right, go forward, turn right, and at the end of it, it would have made a square. Now, there are other shapes that you can challenge yourself to draw. For example, you could draw a triangle or an octagon. What's really going to change between each thing is the amount that you turn and how far forward you go. So, go ahead and try that for a little bit. In this tutorial, we're not going to get into using things like variables and loops to make this easier, but there are tools in programming that would make this a lot easier, and there will be a coding course that will walk you through how to do that. But for now, we're just focused on getting a better grip on how to drive. So, good luck with that, and as always, if you have any questions or run into any roadblocks, you can post your questions in the forum on MakerPlace. Thank you and good luck.